I keep hearing about states and cities having financial crises. We can't pay the teachers, the firemen. We're starving for funds. Why are they starving for funds? The politicians blame the recession. Before the recession, they blamed tax cuts, swine flu, security threats, people's great need, everything but their own spending, which includes money that goes to the unions that fund their campaigns. The author of Plunder, How Public Employees' Unions Are Controlling Our Lives and Bankrupting the Nation, says financial crises are the fault of the public employee unions. He joins us now. The author is Stephen Greenhut. So how can you say this? Everybody knows the public workers are doing public service. They make less money than the private sector workers.
No, they don't. The old deal, that was the old deal. But
They used to.
They used to. The new deal, they make more, and they make enormous amounts more in their pension benefits. We have police and firefighters in California earning $150,000 a year and more. And they retire at age 50 with 90% or more of their final year's pay. And then there are all sorts of pension spiking schemes so that they can retire on disabilities and protect their earnings, their retirement earnings from taxes. And then they go on and they get another government job at a different retirement
But
system.
by schemes, you mean they get to retire at age 50?
Right.
And then they...
With 90% of their pay, and then, well, let's see, California Highway Patrol, 82% of their managers discover usually a back injury about a year before retirement, and then it's a disabling injury, and they get an extra year off. 50% of their pay forever is protected from taxes. In California, we base their retirement on the final year's pay, so we'll have employees who will go take a high-paid job for the last year, and then
work lots of overtime.
Yeah, overtime doesn't always go into the formula, but they abuse the overtime system. They're just bankrupting cities and enormous amounts of enrichment and special protections for themselves.
Now, a politician could say no, but it's scary for a politician to say no to public employees. We have a clip of what can happen if they try.
Strike! Strike!
Unions are very good at holding noisy protests.
Layoffs and wage cuts to women and people of color. So when that happens, you have to stand up, fight back.
The protest shut down street traffic, including Muni lines, which had to detour around the busy intersection.
California is going broke. Yet when the governor tried to temporarily reduce some workers' pay, the union assembled outside his home.
It's just so much stress. I mean, we barely make enough money right now as it is. We don't have these savings of 3 months to live off of.
Could state officials get help from the White House? I don't think they get much sympathy.
Give it back!
The head of the Service Employees International Union was the most frequent guest to the Obama White House, visiting 24 times. It's as if the Democrats and unions are family. Families take care of each other. The teachers' unions have been particularly good at moving public opinion.
None of us are here for the money. We're here because we believe in our kids.
Everyone knows the teachers are underpaid. Actually, teacher pay has risen so much that today the hourly wage is actually more than what psychologists, computer programmers, and registered nurses earn. But you wouldn't know that listening to the union protests.
Shutting this district down until they get their priorities straight.
And the police and firemen make persuasive arguments too. From what I've learned about the Public Employees Union, this protester has it right.
We're the people that run this city.
Run the city? Really? Joining us, Reason Magazine editor-in-chief, Matt Welch. She right?
They don't just run the city, they run the state of California, and they run the state of New Jersey and New York and many other states besides. In 2009, right now, in the midst of incredible financial crises, all over the country, you have state governments who say that they're cutting to the bone, and they haven't fired anyone. They've increased their overall payroll in states last year by about 2%.
Public employees are almost never fired.
It's impossible to fire them. Try firing a teacher, in L.A., even if they're guilty of inappropriate conduct with a child. It's nearly impossible.
Well, I happen to have the chart here of what it takes to fire a teacher in New York. It is a lot of steps. They have these special rubber rooms. They put them for sometimes 8 years because they're waiting while it goes on. It's not just this. It's actually, these are the steps to fire a union teacher, and I can see why they keep their jobs.
Well, let's think about this. I mean, all over the country, we are all being asked to do more with less. It's a recession. We have 10% unemployment. I mean, at my magazine, we produce 5 times as much as we did 10 years ago, probably, and we don't have 5 times the budget, probably.
Yeah, here at Fox, compared to ABC, I'm producing 10 times as much.
I can imagine that you are. But the one area in American life where people are producing less with more is government, and education is probably the worst case of that. In California, 40% of the budget has to go to education no matter what. And so when you increase the budget, which they do every year no matter what, that means education gets more and more money, and yet it's producing less and less results.
Now, Stephen talked about this pension gimmickry. I'm looking at this list of the top pensions in California. It's enormous. Some guys receiving $500,000, $300,000.
There are 15,000 government employees in California right now, and that's probably a conservative number, earning more than $100,000 a year in pensions. It's guaranteed for life forever, and for their spouse, with cost of living adjustments, they usually get free medical care. I mean, who in the private sector gets anything like that?
The former top cop in Los Angeles, Bernard Parks, is making more than $200,000 in pensions. And he's also a city council member, and he's getting paid more than $175,000 a year in salary for that as well.
So he's taking a new job.
And they double dip, often double dip. And then we have public employees who are making $500,000 a year. They have their pensions, and then they have a new job and a different retirement
But they're
system.
public servants.
Well, they've really become our masters. I mean, we have to live under their rules. They have a lot of power, and they're a permanent lobby for more government.
Think about this. For the first time in American history, this, I think, month or this past year, the majority of people who are unionized in this country work for government. That is a historic change, and it's something that we'll be living with for a while.
When we return, we'll look at how California and other states could have been rolling in money, surpluses. What happened?
Yeah,